Alternative für Deutschland claims to offer an alternative future for my own country, but they are not an alternative for Germany, nor should they be viewed as an alternative for other countries like Lithuania. Sometimes they run around Europe boasting that they represent a version of the German future. I can tell you they don't. They're beyond their prime. They are declining in German politics. What made them strong for a while was the resolute and ruthless willingness to exploit difficulties, to also exploit mistakes from mainstream parties. So they tried to ride an anti-European wave, they tried to ride an anti-migration wave, and the one thing that they always shied away from was offering solutions. Because if they would have offered solutions, the waves that they tried to ride would have subsided. Now, other parties have started to learn the lessons, and questions that people have are being addressed more straightforwardly, I would say. So what you can see in some of the polls is that AfD is not on the rise. They're declining. They will be there for some time, but when they try to create the false impression that they can speak on behalf of Germany, that they can offer avenues towards different options of cooperation between countries, don't take that seriously. And the party itself is also, as they develop, taking a transformation. In the origin, AfD was a very conservative professorial party of people who would criticize the euro. Today, increasingly, AfD is a right-wing, neo-Nazi kind of organization. The strongest wing of that party is on the extreme right, and the leadership of the party is neither willing nor capable of drawing a line against real extremists. So I think it's not a worthy, it's not an acceptable partner for anybody. AfD is a nationalist, xenophobic, anti-European party. If AfD would be in power, which will never happen, they would destroy the very fundaments of successful European cooperation. So nobody should be fooled. Sometimes they portray themselves as a conservative, a variation of conservatism. That's not who they are, the extremists. So all the conservatives should beware. If you're really conservative, if you want to hold on to what's been valuable in your own tradition, don't fall for those who would lead you astray. Russia today is a revisionist power. Russia is unhappy with having lost the Soviet Empire. President Putin at one point said the greatest geopolitical tragedy of the last 100 years was that the Soviet Union dissolved. I think he really believes that. So a lot of Russian policies pursue the goal of re-establishing Russian domination in the post-Soviet space. And that includes Ukraine, it includes Georgia, it includes the Baltic countries, it includes Central and Eastern European countries like Poland, Hungary, and others. And of course, having been a successful spy, Mr. Putin knows how to employ the tools of his profession. And he is happy to make use of people that hate Europe, that hate the values that we all share in Europe, for his own purposes. So he has been investing into quite a few extremist parties on the left and, interestingly, on the far right. And some of the activists from AfD have been active propaganda peddlers for Russian interests. They went to Crimea to legitimize the Russian power grab. They went to eastern Ukraine to legitimize the Russian power grab. They believe that an authoritarian form of government might be a good alternative to a free democracy. Well, we all know what to think of that. So I think, yes, indeed, not everybody in AfD is a Russian agent. I would never say that. But there are enough Russian agents within AfD. And you saw a similar phenomenon, by the way, with the Yellow Vests in France recently, where it was published that 20 of the leaders of the Yellow Vests had been fighting for the pro-Russian forces on Crimea. So you see a connection there, and there's a pattern. And that's another reason to beware of AfD.